Peace and respect. Welcome to episode 5 of season 2 of Get Buckets with Coach Gus Gauntlett and friends. I'm joined today by Coach Randy Millard, who's a fourth-year assistant coach at Bmcc, which is Borough Manhattan Community College. Randy, how you doing today? How you feeling?
First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me on your platform. I'm just feeling great, man. You know, I got to watch some great basketball this past weekend, so I'm still in the basketball mode. You know, I'm just ready to talk about it and just have fun speaking about it.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. No, Bmcc is, I know, a very successful program in Manhattan and in that conference. I've played there several times in some of the rec leagues. I used to live in New York for about 12 years. Okay. I was balling out on that court, and I love it. Just a great vibe. Right. So I'm happy to have you today. I know you've won some conference championships the last few years. We're interested in learning more about that. And today's going to be a cool twist because normally we have each coach share, a play that we draw up. And today, I'm really excited because you're going to be kind of bringing a different perspective, different angle to this episode, right. Talking about maintaining player and coach relationship, which especially during COVID, I think is so important to talk about for a lot of coaches out there. So definitely, just tell us a little bit about your coaching journey at Bmcc and your role on the team and, just tell us your experience. We'd love to hear more.
So I started at Bmcc thanks to two guys, Ben Newberg and Tom Fabian. Ben Newberg, he just took the job at at Sullivan Community College. And Tom Fabian, he's the head coach at West Nottingham Academy. So it was one weekend a couple years ago. Ben, he couldn't make this camp. The camp was called Scout Focus. So Ben, he got me in touch with Tom. And Tom, he met me. He just understood my vibe and just understood how much I love the game. I wasn't used to coaching girls. I had to coach the girls for the whole weekend. Then I got transitioned into coaching boys. So after the camp is over, Tom, he walks up to me and we're, just having a regular conversation. And Tom was like, listen, if you want a coaching job, I can get you at Bmcc. I'm thinking like, wow, okay. I pass this school every day driving, every time I'm going to the city to go hang out and stuff. But he was a man of his word. He got my resume sent to Tommy Guerin, who's a great guy. He's a friend of mine as of right now. He's like my brother. And our first meeting, ever since that day, him and I, we just clicked. So coaching under Tommy Guerin, coaching with Jonathan Ramos, Mike Hussein, coaching just with the other individuals who we had in the past, like Coach Jason Jones and our players in the past, man. It just was a great time being there, winning back-to-back conference championships. And our first year, we actually lost. Then the second year we win, and then we win again. It was just an amazing feeling.
I love it. And, for folks that maybe aren't as familiar with the New York City hoop scene and Bmcc and other schools in that conference, tell us about, recruiting. Where are these players coming from? Where are they looking to go afterwards? Kind of what's your experience of being in that community college setting?
So recruiting for us is pretty fun. You get to interact with kids at all different levels. We get the kids from the PSAL, Public School Athletic League, of course, the Megatron of the Catholic School League. Then we have the private and the charter school leagues, and then we have the independent schools. And then it all goes around into this league. It's called the Alternative League, where it gives kids a second chance. Mm-hmm. So we just have a melting pot and a plethora of talent in New York City. And in our conference, our head coaches represents their programs. So I'll break it down for you. Tommy Guerin, he's a Brooklyn guy. He loves to shoot the ball. So all we recruit is big wings, shooters, guys who could play defense. My man at Hostos, Marquis Poole, he's from Uptown. He has the Uptown swagger. He just have the guys who could get it and go, play hard with a lot of brash, play with a lot of and they just love the game. At the Bronx, even though they had coaching changes, their team stayed the same. Strong little guards who just like to pick up full court, who could score the ball very well. And then at Queensborough, Coach Carl, Coach Carl's a fly guy. So, the way he dresses is the way his kids play, smooth and cool and relaxed. And lastly, we have Coach Lane Michelle. Coach Lane Michelle is one of the best college basketball players in history. He played at the University of Bridgeport in Connecticut. He's the only D2 dude who was breaking D1 records and not even playing D1. So a lot of his guys play like him, slow and steady, have a great feel of the game, and just have a great understanding of the game. So our conference has that has that feel of Tobacco Road, but you might have to take the train to the game. You might have to take the bus, because it's the city.
No doubt, no doubt. And so, from my memory of that conference, you're playing against, like, as you mentioned Hostos. Is Baruch also in that conference as well?
So Baruch is in the 4-year conference.
Okay.
Yeah.
And CSI as well as the 4-year?
Mm-hmm.
Got you. So real quick, run through the teams in your conference if you could, please.
So it's us, BMCC, Hostos, Kingsborough, Queensborough, and Bronx.
Got you. And so is after the conference championship on a non-COVID year, is there then like any tournaments after that against like teams out of the state or out of the city or out of the state, or what?
Yes. So those teams that I just mentioned and the other teams such as Nassau, Suffolk, Dutchess, and formerly Sullivan, we comprise Region 15.
Okay.
And the Region 15 Division 3 conference is one of the toughest conferences in the country. And I've heard that not only from Division 1 coaches, but I heard that from coaches who are in the CUNYAC 4 League as well. Because you're playing against inner city kids who just have grit, who have hunger, who just have that last chance you type of feel.
Yep.
And they just want to play the game at a high level. So there's really no blowouts in a sense anymore. It's a lot of tough basketball being played. It's a lot of no blood, no fouls. It's a lot of you got to go get it. There's a lot of, listen, my friends from this block is coming through. Your friends from your block is coming through. And the great thing is all the games are free. All the games be packed. It's a great neighborhood vibe at times. So
I love that. And so, you mentioned talking about just, player-coach relationship and that development of that relationship. I'm interested, like, even maybe taking a look at it pre-COVID times. I know the work that you have to do during COVID is probably on a different level, but just even pre-COVID, like, what do you feel was your role, your methodology, your motivation? Like, how did you manage that relationship with your players?
My role at BMCC was just managing relationships, understanding what player, having them understand what their role is on and off the floor. Just having them understand that basketball can be used as a tool to vehicle your next step in your life. So a lot of our players used to come to me about all the problems. Oh, I feel like Coach G don't like me. And my favorite line was, if he wasn't talking to you, that means he doesn't like you. But if he's talking to you, that means he sees something to you. So I was the liaison between the coaching staff and the players. And the players have a huge respect for me because I don't sugarcoat anything with them. I tell them the God honest truth. I'm a real analytic guy. I look at stats a lot. So the one thing I used to do with one of our former players, Karan Dublin, I used to test him. And I used to do this test with him. I was like, listen, I know you can shoot the ball, but you're always making 14 out of 20. I never see you making 15 out of 20. So we used to do shooting contests in the gym. And I used to just egg them on, Gus, egg them on. And as soon as he get to like 14 for 16, he'll get the 14 for 18. Coach, I got one more. 14 for 20. I said, because I know you, because your body's getting tired. So I just had a great understanding, not only them as an athlete, but understanding them as a person.
Awesome. And, for most coaches in a perfect world, you're offering that feedback. As you mentioned, you don't sugarcoat anything, try to keep it straight with them. In a perfect world, they're receiving that, they're taking that feedback and they're applying it. Tell us about those times, where it's not that easy, right? Like maybe there's a lot of pushback. A certain player maybe has a really difficult time receiving that feedback. How do you go about managing those relationships when it's a really, really challenging process to get your message across?
Safe words.
Okay.
Knowing what and what not to say. Knowing certain players' triggers. There's some players you can scream at. There's some players you have to talk in a monotone of, listen, you got to understand where you was, certain spots on the floor, you weren't there, you missed a lot of assignments. And then there's certain players who you don't have to use long sentences with. You just use one word. That's terrible. Okay, coach, I get it. You weren't supposed to do it like that. Okay, I get it. So every player varies. Every relationship varies, but every player gets treated that's the same.
Absolutely. And then, so now like fast forward into COVID, like over the past year, I'm guessing there's been no basketball activity, or if so, please correct me. And just how have you been trying to stay in touch with players or keep them active? What have your strategies been?
One of the strategies I've used were I run a community center. So me running a community center, I used to give the players access. Like I wasn't training them or working them out at times, but it was things where, if they needed help with jobs, if they needed help getting in the weight room, if they just needed a place just to come talk to me, just come to me at my community center. You could talk to me all the time. And it was fun because you would get phone calls from players who you haven't heard from all summer. Of course, because you got the group chats and, I'm on Instagram, so all my players follow me. So every time I'm like, listen, like we have a basketball coach who works there, Mr. Haran Hargrave. He used to train the guys for me. I peek in the gym, see what's going on. Okay, the kids, they was, I want to get in the weight room. They had to go upstairs to the weight room. So we have guys who are always in shape. Now, them playing under the whistle was kind of tough because we will often have those memories of saying, man, I remember around this time last year, we was playing in our tournament. Man, I remember we was playing at Nassau and I watched you get 22 and we still lost. Man, this would have been conference time. And all the coaches in a conference, we all interact. So we just all have this like, yo, man, that was crazy last year, how y'all beat us on this day. Right, man, but 2 weeks later, you guys beat us. So, just living in memory lane during COVID, it's pretty cool.
Got you. I love that. And it's a blessing that you have that access with the community center to get the players in and keep them somewhat active. I'm sure they were, having a challenging time and missing the game a lot. So that's great for you to offer that resource to them.
Right.
And so, as of now, is it kind of just a wait and see mode? Are they talking about just, wait till next season, next school year sort of thing?
It's more so just waiting. And the waiting game, you become impatient. And when it comes to the waiting game and becoming impatient, there's other schools from other states who could actively recruit you because we're not playing. So imagine you having a kid who's averaging a double-double. He could take his talents to Texas and average a double-double as well. So it just depends on the kid and the family and the way they view what's needed to be done. And I'm happy at the fact that none of our kids have transferred yet. So them believing in the coaching staff to still stay and still wanting to play is amazing.
Awesome. And I know that in general, the goal of a JUCO or community college player is to play a year or two and then hopefully get seen by, D3, D2, D1 school. So, how do you go about helping to prepare those players for that next step? It's like the way I see it is, you want to have obviously build a strong team where everyone's in it for the team and looking for team goals. And I have to imagine there is that element of players also looking for that next step. So how do you kind of manage that like team now, but also support your growth and development as a player for your potential next step with a different team?
So the one thing that we do well is we recruit above our level. So there's no such thing as this kid can play in the CUNYAC. This kid can play at Bmcc. No, the kid that we got him as a steal because he could have been a better benefit at another program. Okay. But the great thing is that we do as a program is our buy-in is just amazing. From day one, first practice, you get it. You have a great understanding of we're not a basketball program. We're a brotherhood. Our alums from years ago still keep in contact with us, trying to figure out what can we do to help our program evolve. So our brotherhood has gotten us in places and spaces, that's where is that kids have gotten jobs from playing at BMCC. Kids have gotten to play in pro-ams, have gotten looks just because they've played at BMCC. And our kids are very high character. Our kids, they're not out here running amok, going crazy. Our kids are really great kids. From the first day I stepped in that gym, we always had a great character quality of kids. Beautiful.
And yeah, it sounds like a really, really strong program. And yes. I know a lot of work on your part and the other coaches and of course the players as well for the buy-in. It sounds beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Cool. Yeah. Like anything else you feel like you want to share, like tips for other coaches, maybe up and coming coaches who maybe they're really good at like the X's and O's and the tactical stuff, maybe the player relationship stuff, they're not as, skilled or tuned into, any like final like thoughts or advice you would give to a coach that could help them be more successful in that area?
I know the one thing I learned, Gus, was remaining myself. Because the stigma on young coaches, oh, you guys are their friends. Oh, you guys want to be cool. That's okay. Because at the end of the day, there's some kids that we have who may not have a father or an older brother to lean on. You know, there's some players who don't have the family structure that we provide. And the one thing I could also say is that don't let them cross that line. Because some players may try to get too cool with you, or you may try to get too cool with them. No, you always have a line, but you can let them know that you're still a human too. Because the issue is, you know, the older coaches back in the day, you know, you have to be stern and you have to be tough. No, it's okay to crack a smile and laugh, because some of these players are comedians. Some of them are really, really funny, you know, and there's times where it may be tense in the gym, but you gotta laugh. And you also have to show your kids that, or the participants in your program, that your coaching staff is on the same page. You know, like our coaches don't go around talking about each other. You know, like our coaching staff, any problem we have, we keep it in-house and we have conversations about it. You know, so whatever you want to emulate to your guys to show that your coaching staff is cohesive, they will emulate that as well.
Beautiful. Yeah, really, really important words and ideas. And I know that like every other skill, you know, it takes time to develop that and commitment to developing it. And it sounds like, you know, that's definitely a foundation of your coaching practice, which is great. And I'm sure the young people that you work with are benefiting from that a lot. Word.
Yes, man.
Cool. Well, I definitely appreciate those words. We're going to flip it over. You know, I always like to get at least one play drawn up. So I'm going to share a sideline out of bounds play, and I'd love to hear some feedback from you, what you think, what you like, what you don't like. Right. In season 2, I've really been trying to focus on just more unique sets instead of just standard like man-to-man half court sets.
Okay.
So for this one, it's going to be a sideline out of bounds. It's good after timeout setting. Going to have the 2 taking it out. Going to have the 3 in the corner. 4 starting out the free throw line, 5 across, and 1 across. So that's our setup.
Okay.
So on the inbound, or on the ball, I should say actually before the inbound, on the ball clap. On the ball clap, we're gonna have 3 create just get some movement, create space going to the other side, and then the 2 is gonna pass it into the 4, who's actually gonna come up here just above the top high post, just short of the 3-point line. Gonna inbound it here to the 4. On that inbounds pass, we have a couple things happening. Number 1, so the 3 is now over here. So on that inbound, the 2 is going to dive hard across the key. And the purpose of this play, or the goal of this play, is to create some confusion here in the middle that's going to help the 1 come off a rub screen. So we have the 2 coming across, and just create some movement and some confusion. We're going to have the 5 screen down for the 1 over here. That 1 is going to curl off that screen. And so here, our goal here is, in terms of the timing, is just as the 2 is crossing the free throw line, the middle of the free throw line, that 1 is running right off their back. So 2 is going to continue on to clear out here, and 1 is coming off that cut here. And so the first option I would love is this 4 dropping this pass to the 1. Ideally early, you know, hopefully the 4 sees the 1's defender on their back. And if the 1 can just get in front of that defender, they're going to have lots of space leading them to the rack. So I'm looking for the 4 to drop it here to the 1. Okay. And that's option number 1. Option number 2, 5's over here. So option number 2 is, so the 1 has maybe made their cut. Let's say maybe they switched, or the defender was really playing good help side and got in front of the 1 and blocked that pass from the 4. I'm going to have that 1 just clear out to the corner to create space. And then the second option is just going to be a simple down screen, 5-on-2, and 2 curling here for the jumper mid-range. If you're down 2, maybe you're coming off that screen a little higher above the 3-point line, and then the 4 can have a second look to the 2 around this area or around here. And that's our second option out of the half court, or out of of bounds play. So that's what we got. I think, ideally, I think that this cross here, this little rub screen is going to cause a lot of confusion and be tough to stick with. It would take a lot of communication between the 2's defender who's coming across and the 1's defender who's trailing here. It would take a lot of great communication in the moment for them to switch that. So I'm pretty confident that the one coming off that 5 screen and then cutting behind the 2, that's going to be open. There may be some help defense here from the 3, but I think if the 1 catches the ball here with the defender on their back, I don't think that weak side's going to get there in time, or if they will, if they do even, I think that the 1 is coming down with a nice head of speed to either get a bucket or a foul.
Right, and that's like even in this set, which I love, because the thing is this, right? I know for sure, especially at our level, that point guard off the first curl, 9 times out of 10, he's getting bumped off.
Okay.
Right? He's getting bumped off. So I'm about to put you in a BMCC type of sense.
Yes.
Right. So our 1 guard, he's getting bumped off. Now our 2, they know he's a shooter. Right. Our 2 is a shooter. Right. But guess what? Soon as the 4 catches it and everything clears out, it's mano y mano. Go get a basket. You know, because our 4s, especially the ones I recruit, I've been doing pretty good at that. Our 4s, they are wings.
Sure.
So we turn our 4s into hybrid wings. Like, man, we had a kid named Victor Kananovich, 6'7", nightmare. I'm talking about if we was to run this set for him, he would average 40 a night.
Love it.
Victor, he was from Serbia. He just knew how to catch it off the inbounds, turn and face, let everybody go. You know, his eyes was always on the shot clock and the rim. Soon as it hit like 15, he just knew it's time for me to go have some fun. So he was just that matchup nightmare at the 4 spot where I watched him at times ball fake a big, let the big land and jab step and just get around, gap and kick the ball or hit the mid range or even dunk on somebody. You know, so when I'm looking at this play, I'm thinking of guys like Jason Mejia, who was there my first year as a point guard. He would have caught it off the first curl and probably would have spent off somebody, probably would have laid somebody.
Yeah.
Then we had like a kid like a George Keener who was playing the 2 who could shoot it. All these are my first year guys. Like, wow. Like, I'm just thinking like with that play, how many guys who I've interacted with who were just great scorers. Like George Keener, he would get it and probably get into the paint and knock a jumper off the glass because he was that skilled enough to do it. But then one of the best backcourts that we had at the 1 and 2 spot was Terrell Fullerton and Karan Dublin. So just watching those 2 guys in that set, we would have ran off at least 20 points out of that set. You know, and then we had a kid like a Sean Adams. You know, he's a wiry guy, 6'6". He could play the 3 to 5 for us as he did. And, you know, him just being lanky, but being strong, you know, having like that Kevin Durant physique. You know, he looks lanky, he's not strong, but he is strong. So just watching him being that trailer guy on the tail end, getting the layup, Jericho Charisma, he used to watch the ball hit the glass and go get a rebound, you know. And then we have a kid named Malik Bentic. He's pretty good. So just watching that set, I just envisioned all my guys as scoring the ball.
Well, I hope that, you know, once we get back on the courts, you know, take a few minutes, give it a try,
right.
See how it works with your guys, and I hope that's helpful.
Yes, for sure. Yes, man. Yes.
Definitely. Cool, man. Well, I definitely appreciate that feedback, and I'm starting to picture your guys scoring that play, man. That keeps me hyped. I love it.
Yes.
Word. Well, to wrap up every episode, I always like to ask every coach just an unscripted question about your journey. So I guess my question to you, you know, because you're so just tuned into that player-coach relationship, is, you know, what is one area for you as a coach that you want to improve on moving forward? You know, I'm sure you ask your players all the time or help them focus on things they need to improve upon. For you as a coach, what's something that you want to get better at moving forward?
The one thing I would love to get better at with my guys is just having them understand that I can't love the game more than you. You know, because the simple fact is that I know I recruited you because I seen this spark. I seen this talent that you possess. But it should be no way in hell that I should be on you all the time. You know, like my job was to get you here. But your job is to get yourself out of here. So if I love the game more than you, that's a problem. You know, so loving the game, you know, more than them is an issue. You know, so some guys have the understanding, whereas that I know, like, you're not going to be that breakout player in your first 4 games. I get that. But after game 5, you should have a great understanding of, okay, this is my role and this is what I have to do. That's the flourishing. So me just making them love the game, I shouldn't have to do that. Because if you love this sport, you will give it your 100% all the times.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Coach Millard, man, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for all your work. Hope y'all are staying happy and healthy as much as possible. And I look forward to what's next for you.
Same here, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day.